This is a Good Morning Washington update.
Good morning, Washington. I'm Melanie Hastings, and breaking news just coming in right now from Alexandria. Police telling us that right now multiple people are shot near Simpson Park on East Monroe Avenue.
Behind third base is when he saw the rifle, and that's when he heard Steve Scalise scream.
All of this happening as Republicans were preparing for a charity fundraising event tomorrow. They had an early morning practice here at the field. We understand from eyewitness accounts that we are seeing on social media that they heard multiple gunshots.
For at least 2 to 3 minutes, it was absolute chaos.
I bet you there were 30 to 50 shots that I heard. It went on for a while.
You could see Steve Scalise out into the field. He dragged himself after he was shot.
The emotional shock of seeing your friend shot, you're defenseless. We would have been his next victims.
Our lives were saved by the Capitol Hill Police. Had they not been there, I think it would have been a massacre.
A man who was standing behind on the third baseline down this way walked out to the fence line, apparently yelled out, "Are these Democrats or are these Republicans?" Somebody told him they were Republicans. Moments later, shots rang out. The man had a long rifle and began opening fire. Scalise, who was on second base, was hit in the hip. He fell right on the ground immediately. Other members were shot as well. But from the parking lot on this side of me, the security detail, if not for Scalise, there would have been no security, nobody with a gun to fight back. 2 security members attached to Scalise came flying out of their car, and they engaged the shooter. And right now we're getting video into the newsroom where you can actually hear this gunfight between 2 Capitol police officers and a lone gunman with a rifle playing out. Listen.
Do we know where he's at? Do we know where he's at?
He's behind home plate. You call 911?
I assume people have been calling 911 already.
The one thing that everybody wants to know immediately is, who was this guy? What was his motivation? What did he want? All we know is we have his identity of James Hodgkinson, 66 years old, from Illinois, only been in the area a couple months. Our senior investigator, Lisa Fletcher, has been working on that side of the story. She joins us now live. Lisa, what do you have on this guy?
Well, Jonathan, as you mentioned, he has died, presumably of the gunshot wounds when police were returning fire. He was from Belleville, Illinois. He owned a home inspection business called JTH Services. His business license expired in November of 2016. It was not renewed. A look at Hodgkinson's Facebook page, and it's really clear he was no fan of the Trump administration. In one post dated March 22nd, he said, "Trump is a traitor. Trump has destroyed our democracy. Time to destroy Trump and company." He went on in other posts and reposts to fortify his position against Trump, promote the investigation of the president, and his support of Bernie Sanders.
Right now, Congressman Steve Scalise is in critical condition after this morning's shooting in Alexandria.
2 Capitol police officers, a staffer and a lobbyist, were also hit when those shots rang out just after 7 a.m.
They were all here at this Alexandria baseball field practicing for tomorrow night's congressional baseball game.
And we have team coverage of the shooting tonight, from the Hill to the hospitals to Illinois, where the man who started shooting was from.
I've still got shots being fired. We got one in custody. We need medics.
Chaos as Republican members of Congress came under fire, practicing early Wednesday morning for a charity baseball game. Representative Mo Brooks was just feet away.
And I thought it was a car backfiring at first until I see the rifle barrel and a white male taking careful aim at congressmen, staffers, whoever he could get a hold of.
He had a lot of ammo, and I think he must have been secured behind the third base dugout for a while. It was tough to get to him.
In panic, the members scattered in every direction, filling a dugout or hopping the fence to get away.
It went on for, it felt like 10 minutes.
And there was a guy, I don't know who he was, but was out here on the field. And I guess he was shot early on because he was just laying there and he wasn't really moving.
It was Congressman Steve Scalise of Louisiana, the majority whip. And due to his high ranking, the reason a security detail was already on site.
And Nancy, security always tight around the U.S. Capitol, but today, especially in those moments after we learned of the shooting, it grew dramatically more intense.
They stepped it up outside the U.S. Capitol, while inside they strode into a briefing on the shooting at a congressional baseball practice. Congressman Joe Barton's voice cracking at times when describing the scene.
Our prayers are for the people who were wounded, and our thanks are to the police officers who attacked. I can't emphasize this enough. They attacked the shooter, and that saved our lives. Thank you.
And in doing so, got injured themselves. It's remarkable heroism.
Now, Alexandria's police chief says that first responders arrived at that ball field within 3 minutes of that first 911 call. At least 2 of the people who were shot were taken to MedStar Hospital Center, and that's where D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford joins us now from. Sam?
Yes, Nancy. Well, the condition of Congressman Steve Scalise is critical. According to the latest report here at MedStar, they said he was shot in the hip and underwent surgery here this morning. The U.S. Capitol Police, dressed military style, arrived with their assault rifles, presumably to provide additional security for the congressman.
Now, Scalise and the lobbyists are in critical condition. They're the worst off right now. We're also told Scalise will need additional surgeries. He's already undergone at least 2, we were told. Now, the gunman was shot to death. The 66-year-old was killed by the 2 Capitol Police officers that are attached to the security detail of the majority whip. Now, Tim Barber is joining us from the hometown of the shooter in Illinois. We'll get to him in a second. But we're going to start our team coverage tonight with Tom Rousey, who's at MedStar Washington. That is where the congressman is being treated. And Tom, he remains in critical condition. We understand he has received a few pints of blood as well.
This is video of President Donald Trump and his wife Melania walking out of Washington Hospital Center here. They spent some time with Scalise afterwards. The president tweeting basically that he is in pretty tough shape, Scalise, and he asked everybody to pray for him, but he did say as well that Scalise is a fighter. So everybody hoping he can make it out okay tonight. Now, this shooting itself happened now about 16 hours ago down in the Delray neighborhood of Alexandria, where everyone describes it as a scene of absolute chaos.
Tonight, FBI crime scene investigators are still trying to put all the pieces together.
Heard the first shot and you think, was that really what it sounded like?
Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup was at the Republican baseball practice. He saw House Majority Whip Steve Scalise get hit.
Here's a guy shooting, bullets flying everywhere. And here's one guy left on the field, just laying there.
No one could get to Scalise as suspect James Hodgkinson fired dozens of shots over about 10 minutes. Congressmen and others dove for cover in a dugout.
5 individuals were shot.
Those hit include legislative correspondent Zach Barth, who was released from the hospital, and Tyson Foods lobbyist Matt Micah. Capitol Police Officer Crystal Griner was hit, and fellow officer David Bailey was injured. Both are expected to recover and are being hailed as heroes. After Hodgkinson was taken down by repeated shots in the upper body, Wenstrup, a former combat surgeon in Iraq, ran to Scalise.
But at this point, I'm worried about, is he bleeding inside or other organs damaged, because I never saw an exit wound.
The FBI wouldn't comment on the shooter's motive, but many in Congress are convinced it was his apparent hatred of the president and Republicans.
This country is better than this. We are far better than this, and we have a history of being far better than this, and we need to start acting like it.
Now, besides Representative Steve Scalise, who remains in critical condition here tonight, Matt Micah, the Tyson Foods lobbyist, is the other person most seriously hurt. He's not here. He's at GW Hospital, and the latest we've heard from his family is that he is in critical condition as well. Reporting live tonight in Northwest D.C., I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
Tom, thanks very much. The backdrop for today's shooting, this is as bucolic as it gets. Very quiet here in Alexandria. The Delray is an exclusive neighborhood. A lot of people say they never even hear sirens here. Today, though, after the shooting, they're coming together, in fact, not one, but 2 vigils to give their prayers to the victims of today's shooting, but to also just come against hatred and come against violence. That's what they were standing up against. Jay Korf covering that side of the story for us tonight. Jay?
Yeah, Jonathan, 2 huge events. Hundreds gathered, poured out onto the streets of Delray here in Alexandria to say that hate does not belong here.
This is a walk of healing for this community.
Hundreds spilled onto the streets of Alexandria Tuesday night in not one, but two separate solidarity walks in a show of resilience in the face of a horror unleashed here hours earlier.
Courage under fire, literally. Courage under fire. Rounds and rounds of gunfire.
The shooting unfolded only blocks from the heart of Del Rey, a close-knit neighborhood in Alexandria that's bound by a strong sense of community and a deep and abiding disdain for intolerance.
We can gather, we can show people we're not going to fall towards your hate and your ignorance. So here we are. We're here celebrating life, and we're going to pray, and we're going to stand together tonight.
While some walked, others participated a couple miles away in a run to show their pride in community and country.
It probably didn't become real until I saw the video, and I was like, that's my dog park. And that's my kids' field, and that's my YMCA. And then it became, you know, like an attack on our community. And so this kind of thing coming together helps us feel whole again.
This is not something that a city or a community sees every day and hopefully never sees in a lifetime.
And Alexandria Police Chief Michael Brown told the crowd that even hours after the shooting, his officers canvassed that neighborhood near the ball field to make sure that everyone in their homes was physically and emotionally okay. Reporting live in Delray, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News at 11.
Jay, thanks very much. And live back at the ballpark, you can see yellow crime tape is all around this park where everybody who lives in this area uses it, whether it's to play with their kids or to bring the dog to the dog park. The YMCA, though, that is right next to the ball field, I just ran into the former mayor, Bill Ewell, of Alexandria, and he said that while working out of the gym, he had bumped into about a month and a half ago James Hodgkinson, the gunman, sitting in the lobby with his computer. Struck up a conversation. They talked on a daily basis. The mayor, as you can imagine, shocked to find out this was the gunman in today's rampage. Here's what he told me just a few minutes ago.
He would only have conversation with me and then one of the staff members who work in the front desk.
What kind of conversation? What were you
it was just, you know, he asked me about restaurants to go to, good places to eat while he was new to the area, wanted to know where to go eat.
Now, investigators are combing not only this ball field, picking up any kind of evidence and clues, but they're also retracing the steps of James Hodgkinson, who's been in the area for a few months to try and figure out what brought him here, what was his motive for being here, and more importantly, what caused him to snap and open fire on the Republican members of Congress out here playing baseball. Now, he comes from a place in Illinois which is not far from St. Louis. We sent our Tim Barber to that area. He joins us now tonight. And Tim, you've been there a short time. What have you uncovered so far?
No warning signs from neighbors. Right now, I'm sitting at the edge of the property of the suspect. I want to get out of the way here so you can see the lights are still on at the house here. This is where FBI agents were all day, and this is where investigators say he was practicing firing a gun just months ago before the rampage. The sun sets over a cornfield lined with crime tape, while the FBI scours the home of congressional baseball shooter James Hodgkinson. Agents believe the 66-year-old opened fire in Alexandria 2 months after he moved from this rural property in Belleville, Illinois.
He's always happy-go-lucky.
Hodgkinson's Facebook page is filled with angry political posts against President Trump and the Republicans. Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders said the shooter volunteered on his presidential campaign.
And I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
Hodgkinson was arrested for domestic battery in 2006, but the case was dismissed. Then in March, deputies said they responded to his rural property for gunshots, where they found him legally using a hunting rifle for practice. But 3 months later and hundreds of miles away, the 66-year-old opened fire on a group of congressional Republicans until 2 Capitol Hill police officers shot back and killed him.
Listen to what dispatch was up against this morning when this shooting took place.
Okay, used to Route 240 in East Monroe, receiving shots being fired, and there are people running, possibly victims involved.
Stunning scanner traffic detailing moments of chaos.
Right by the baseball field in front of the YMCA, there's also a victim down in the baseball field.
Responders ultimately finding 5 shooting victims.
I did medics in the dugout. I got 1 injured.
Steve, I want you to know that you have the prayers not only of the entire city behind you, but of an entire nation and frankly, the entire world. America is praying for you, and America is praying for all of the victims of this terrible shooting.